Hello everyone and welcome to GPVWC. This is round 7 of the 2022 GPVWC Super League Championship, and this is the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal in Quebec in Canada. A little bit of lag going on the screen, but that should sort itself out as we carry on throughout the session. We're in the first minute of qualifying, so the car is just heading out and getting ready for their first flying laps. So, I'm being joined today. First of all, the broadcaster is going to be Tom Stevens, who's jumped in at the very last minute pretty much, so thank you very much for Tom Stevens for taking that. And then alongside me in the booth itself is a name that you may recognize if you have Twitter, Eoin Harmon, who has been tweeting out the updates over there throughout the series so far. Eoin, how does it feel to be using your voice to commentate for once rather than your fingers?
Hi Caitlin, and welcome along everybody. It is a very unusual feeling. I'm certainly no amateur behind the microphone, but yeah, this is quite an experience. I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, best of luck everyone.
So the first few flying laps are taking place right now. Here is Mitchy Hoyer racing around the middle part of the circuit. Mitchy is on an absolute flying form right now, winning the last 3 races in this championship. And remember, before that, he wasn't anywhere near the top of the order. 6th place in the first race, 4th in the second. It was when he got his new sim rig that he suddenly started to realize his full potential and has launched a championship challenge. He comes into this round leading the championship by 18 points over Thomas Harvey. Daniel Brewer is also going to be another one to look out for. Yannick Bock and Leon Bock 4th and 5th in the championship. Matthias Moos, Adam Maguire, Jeffrey Fournier, Thomas Schwock and Stefan Roth are the rest of the top 10 in the standings. A couple of different drivers here today as well, as the first few laps now come in. Where's Winnick's lap going to be? It's 2nd so far, behind Yannick Bock. But yes, Michael Francesconi is a name that I know quite well, but he has not driven in this series yet this year. So this is his first outing of the season. Also, Reuven Machete, fantastic to see Reuven here. I asked him after the Super Lights race the other day whether he would be taking part in Super League. And thus have driven in every single round at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And he said he didn't know. It depended on whether any opportunities would come up. Well, one has come up, and he will be driving for the Green Stripes team today. Currently running in 11th position in this qualifying session. Just checking down the order to see if there are any other names that I recognise that I wouldn't necessarily have expected to be in this list, but I think that's about it for unexpected driver changes. Luke Mitchell in the Adonis. Luke has driven, yes, he did the last round as well at Monaco, finished 17th on that occasion, and he is once again in that Adonis car. Apart from that, it's pretty much the cast of characters that you would expect, with Yannick Bock currently at the top, followed by Matthew Winnick and Thomas Harvey. So Eoin, the first few laps coming in right now, and Yannick looking quick.
Yeah, it's hopefully a return to form for Yannick. He's had an up and down campaign this season, but we all know what he's capable of behind that Evolution Motorsports car. And if he can get the pole position in the bag today and possibly snap Winnick's exceptional form in the last 3 rounds, this will definitely be a real onus to his campaign, get himself right in contention.
Yannick Bock was second at the Monaco Grand Prix 4 weeks ago, as it was now, and in a very, very dramatic finish that we had to that race. I don't want to spoil it at all for anyone who hasn't seen it, but my goodness, what a fantastic, well, I say fantastic, what an exciting finish we had to that race. I'm sure there are some drivers who would have been a lot less enthusiastic about the results. Aris Masculi there in the pits in the Musto GD Esports car, and we go back to Yannick on track, about to start a flying lap. In fact, let's take a ride with Yannick Bock around this lap as he shows us what this Circuit Gilles Villeneuve is all about. Used to be known as the Circuit Ile Notre Dame before Jacques Villeneuve, home hero Gilles Villeneuve, was tragically killed in 1982. Here we go, into turn 1, you have a curved braking zone, making the car quite unsteady, and then turn 2, that gets very tight on the opening lap. It's a real pinch point. This straight isn't really a straight at all, and here we get one of the first few artificial chicanes on the lap. There are quite a few of those. There's a left-hander here, and then a right-hander, and a DRS zone that you've got to set yourself up for. But that chicane that we've just been through, that's a tricky one. There's one real line through there, and if you get out of the groove, then you have no grip, and you end up sliding all over the place. Ooh, that was a little wide, and a little tap over the sausage curbs for Yannick Bock. That may have cost him a little bit of time. This hairpin here is called Lapanglet, and it's extremely tight. Very difficult to lose the car on the exit as you put the power down. There's another DRS zone here, and that detection zone that we've just been through determines whether you get DRS for the next 2 detection zones. Now, a fast, almost flat out chicane to end the lap. I don't know why I said almost flat out, because it's not quite that fast, but anyway, still a very, very quick chicane, and that was also a fairly quick lap, although not Yannick's best, and Matthias Moos has now gone to the top of the order. So Moos goes P1, Bock is now P2, and Mathieu Winnick, the championship leader, and that's a big lockup for Shepherd, who lost his front wing, but he's made it back to the pit, so he will be fine for another lap on.
Yeah, there will be plenty of drivers at risk of hitting various barriers around the streets of Montreal. Another driver there was missing the rear wing there, but Eros Mascioli hoping to get into the top 15, which will be eligible for points. See how he gets on here around Sector 2.
Didn't even bother with that bit, did he? I think he's just trying to get back to the pits.
Yeah, it might be in
anyway.
here, yeah, that's right, Caitlin.
Okay, yeah, still heading back to the pits, and that lap will absolutely be invalidated. Luke Mitchell here, still a little way off the pace in this round, although P21, ooh, little wiggly over the curbs, DRS opened, and across the line up to P20, gets within a second of the race leader. Luke Mitchell helped me out quite a lot with my FS2 setup at Monaco, so I have to thank him again for that. And yeah, very nice guy, Luke Mitchell. Also extremely fast, currently doing very, very well in the FS2 championship. Was leading that last time I looked, although I don't think he is anymore. He's second in that now, behind Ruben Machedi, who is also in this race. The rivalry continues. Here's Yannick once again on an outlap, and we now have less than 7 minutes to go in this session. So the timer is drawing to a close. Talking of Ruben Machedi, we saw him just now without his rear wing trying to get back to the pits. He can make it back, and I think probably has done, and will then head out for another lap. Ruben won both of the races here in FS2, finished on the podium in both races in FS1, and was doing well in the SL2 until unfortunately he had a crash. So today he's hoping to get back on the podium, or at least prove his worth in the Superleague field. Matching Winnick goes quicker than his personal best in the first sector. Second sector a little way down. Chris Butcher was actually faster in that second sector there. And probably actually Chris Butcher looking very quick on this lap. Crosses line P9 for Chris. And Matchy needs to hook up the final sector. Here he goes through the final couple of corners. That is not how you do it. So Matchy Winnick has a long way to go back to the pits without a front wing now.
Yeah, I'd be feeling that in his arms. There was a very heavy collision with the wall of champions. Just gotta reset again to 5.5 minutes to go just about now. You should have time for another 2 laps, hopefully. Maybe 3.
Indeed, there's Yannick Buck. No improvement in the first sector for He is about a tenth of a second down on the time that Matchy Winnick just set. A more promising time is actually that of Matthias Moos. And Ruot now is fastest of all in the second sector. Still a couple of tenths off in the first, but let's see what he does in the third. There's only 2 more corners on this lap, but they are extremely difficult ones. The accident black spot of the track. The Quebec wall, the wall of champions, waits for you on the outside, and we know that Ruot is a champion. The reigning champion of GPVWC Super League. Across the line he goes. P5, no improvement for Stefan Roth that time around. He was less than a tenth off his best lap. Matthias Moos improving his best time in the first 2 sectors. That is an absolute rocket ship. The car taking flight every time it hits the sausage curbs. Leon Bock goes up to second, and Moos extends the gap. It's 1/10 of a second now. So still not a dramatic margin, but 1:10.572 puts him P1. Box lap there has put him ahead of his brother, so Leon is now second, followed by Yannick. Both of them looking very fast here. Talking of fast, this is a good lap from Ruben Machedi, who opens the DRS for the 3rd time in this lap, and will go P6. Machedi back into the top 10 now, ahead of the reigning champion. If there's one circuit we know Ruben likes, it's this one, and obviously liking this car quite a lot. As well, this would be good for Green Stripes. They've struggled a bit in the last few races this season. Only 1 points finish for Green Stripes Racing, which is when they had Jan Grankvist behind the wheel. And another star driver like Ruben Machedi is exactly what they need.
Yeah, every point counts in the battle to stay above 15th and last place. And if they can get even 7 points, it'll put them up 3 positions up against Mayor Downard.
Here's a replay of Matchy Winnick heading through the chicane. I presume he's about to get it all wrong, because when you see yes, that was when he lost his front wing. When you see a replay of a car coming into that final chicane, you hold your breath, because chances are we're seeing that replay for a reason, such as a whack of the barriers or a flight over the curb. Yannick Buck down again in the first sector, although not by much, and it wasn't by much that he lost out to his brother Leon Buck on that last lap. So still potential to improve, probably not anymore. That was a bit more curved than he would have liked. That would have cost him about 1/10 of a second or so if it didn't invalidate his lap. His lap still seems to be valid, although he's lost another 2/10 of a second. So we'll probably head back to the pits and then set up for one final flying run. Robin Panzer, actually, this lap's looking promising for Robin. Good first sector there, about 0.5 of a second down on Matthias Moos's best. And some more drivers improving as well. Mitchy Hoyer's gone even quicker in the first sector. So both of the Burst Esports cars looking pretty good at this point in time. The team that's doing a joint calendar, GPVWC and FSR this year, which must be quite busy. Relatively similar cars, although different design philosophies around both of them. is about to open the rear wing and head towards the finish line for another timed lap. Looks like there's a little bit of debris on the entry to that corner there. Oh no, I think that's just a glitch.
Oh.
Look at that huge flight over the curbs. And does he lose time from that? He does. So Robin Panzer does not improve. Here's Chris Shepherd, P9 currently. That was a lot neater, still took a lot of curbs, but it looked at least controlled from Chris Shepherd. P4, up into the top 2 rows of the grid, Eoin.
Yeah, splendid work there from Chris Shepherd. He knew what to do with those sleeping policemen. Gave him a right L bang, but not enough to unsettle the car, and he's now well into contention for the top 3 maybe, if you can get one last lap in.
Yes, you need to go for it immediately because there's not enough time to have a cool down lap and then go for it again. But if you have the tyres and the fuel, then there's no reason as to why you can't. Matthias Moos about to set up for his final flying lap to act just as a safety buffer. There are cars behind that are looking so quick right now. Ruva Machete, oh my goodness, I'm starting to get a little concerned about the lap that he might be about to post. Concerned's not quite the right word because this is looking very good for him. But Ruva Machete, we know how successful he is at this circuit, and his lap right now, his first sector, is on par with the best few that we've seen in this session overall, and he's lost a bit of time. Oh, he's lost a lot of time in that second sector, and we saw a bit of a lag spike. Do you think those were connected, Eoin?
You can never be 100% sure on that, Caitlin, but yeah, it certainly would be evidence enough to say that caused him too much hassle on that lap.
I think that's very unlucky there, but these things happen in sim racing. Matthias Moos, fastest of anyone in the first sector, of course still has the fastest lap of anyone, and currently I'm not seeing anyone out there who is looking ready to beat them. Yannick Bock is down in both the first 2 sectors. Eoin Bock's a bit closer, lost a little bit of time in the first sector. Gained a tiny bit in the second. His third sector would need to be great though. I think it's all down to, well, I think it's all over actually for pole position, but Moose is going to finish this lap anyway. Thomas Harvey potentially. Harvey's lap looking quicker than Leon's at this point. Harvey may be a possible contender for P2 at this rate. As here comes Matthias Moos out of the final corner. Stepkowski goes 9th. Where does Matthias go? Doesn't quite improve his lap. Thomas Harvey goes up to 5th place at the end of the session. Chris Butcher is about to complete a lap in the other Adonis car. And once he crosses the line, which he does now, it's P11. And that looks to be the end of the session. Heiko Poom completes a lap, stays 22nd. And that's the lot. So it looks to me as if Matthias Moos has taken pole position today ahead of the 2 Bocks, and then the other Red Archer car of Chris Shepherd. It's Red Archer, Evolution, Evolution, Red Archer. And the best of the rest is Thomas Harvey in 5th position.
Yeah, the teammate battles will be well and truly on here, Caitlin. You can now see the leaderboard. Not much separating the top 5 there, just about nearly 0.2 of a second, so extremely high standard qualifying session once again.
Championship leader Matthew Winnick is P6, Robin Panzer P7. Ruven Machete on his second Super League start is P8, Stefan Roth, reigning champion, P9. Then Daniel Stepkowski will go off P10 on the grid. After that we have a few penalties that are yet to be applied, so I think I'm going to wait before reading out the rest of the order, and we'll get those to you in a bit. Robin Panzer himself actually picked up that's a time penalty for the last race, so ignore what I just said. Florian Geyer has a penalty hanging over his head, as does Jan Dragoon, who is starting from pretty much the back anyway. And then Liam de Waal, actually, who is not here today, has a penalty hanging over his head. Looks as if the order is going to be relatively unchanged. I think that Jan Dragoon may be the only driver to lose positions from that. But whatever the case, a very close qualifying session, and that should set us up for a pretty nice race. So, Eoin, looking forward to the race. There's going to be strategy it's pretty difficult to overtake here. So do you think that's going to play into the minds of the drivers when they're deciding when to make their pit stops?
Yeah, it certainly will, Caitlin. I'd imagine a few drivers outside the top 10 will have the different compounded tires with the free selection. We know from previous experience how outsmarting the higher qualified drivers can pay off with Liam Duval, for example. So that can certainly prove an effect. But we will see, like if drivers go side by side and there's a barrier, let's say at the first chicane, for example, you could get too close to one another and that could end someone's race hitting the barrier. So yeah, I will assume strategy plus a little bit of bumping and nudging will make the difference.
Indeed. We don't know exactly what tyres everyone set their qualifying laps on. The driver in P11 at the end of that session was Chris Butcher, and he, of course, will be the top driver who gets a choice of starting tyre. Doesn't have to start on the tyre that he qualified on. There is Ruben Machete, who we're watching on the warm-up lap behind the splash screen you see for the circuit. It's a pretty fun circuit to drive, actually, this one. It's basically just two ribbons of asphalt split up by a couple of hairpins and then some artificial chicanes in between. It's not a hugely technical circuit, but it is a good one for racing. You've got to hang on to your opponent ahead like the reins of a charging horse in order to slipstream them and overtake, either down towards the Champions Wall chicane or down towards turn 1. And the difficulty with that, of course, is that the chicane unsettles you so much. You really need to have your nose well and truly ahead of the driver you're trying to overtake, or get a much better run through that chicane in order to pass them down into turn 1. If you're not fully ahead, you're not going to be able to make the move, and therefore you're going to have to drop back even further than you otherwise would have done. And then it takes a lap or two to be able to get straight back up to your opponent again, depending on how much faster you actually are. And you tend to see different trains of cars forming at Montreal as a result, where some have lost the slipstream of the car in front, but can't be passed by the cars behind them due to the difficult passing nature of this circuit, and they just bunch up into little packs. It's one of the quirks of racing here at Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve, but it makes it quite unique on the calendar. The only other circuit that I think has a similar feel to this one is potentially Melbourne, Australia. Maybe Hungary in places, but overall it's unique, and you can definitely feel that by driving it, Eoin.
Yeah, you certainly can, yeah. I'd imagine some of the drivers looking forward to the next round in Silverstone, Great Britain, take a break from the street circuits, but the opportunity for Maciej Milinek to become a 4-in-a-row winner is a tantalising prospect for him, and it's up to the other drivers to try and put an end to his most incredible form. It's something unprecedented in my time watching Super League. It's usually 2 wins in a row, maybe 3 out of 4, but never 4 in a row.
It's giving me a little challenge, actually. I'm gonna go back in time and see if I can find what the last time, or when the last time someone was able to take 4 wins in a row was. Because off the top of my head, I'm really not sure. I'm not even sure that Rudy Van Buren managed that. So if Maciej Winnick did it today, then that would be quite a tick of approval next to his name. Going to be a little tricky to find that out, but anyway. Ignore the yellow flags on the screen right now. Sometimes ooh, that was a little close there between Harvey and that car at the back of the shot there. But anyway, yeah. Usually, you're right. It's quite an unpredictable series, and even when one driver's on top form, things can happen, and they aren't able to deliver the results week after week. Eoin Simoncic, of course, claimed 3 wins in a row last season, but I'm gonna have to go back way further than that to find the last person who won 4 in a row. What do you think, Owen? Who would your money be on?
A significant question, but I have to say, if Evolution, like, they gained that momentum after Monaco, and if they really want to put their authority back into this championship, I will put my money on Yannick Bock from P3. But Leon obviously would love to get his name in lights here, so I have to fancy Evolution. They have a great chance, but my predictions are either really, really woeful or somewhere that could be, let's say, 7 out of 10 good. How about you, Caitlin? What do you think?
It's so close. Leon Bock hasn't won yet in GPWC Super League. The trouble there is that his brother has historically been the number one driver of the team. Whether that's deliberately or simply because he has been the stronger driver in the past is unclear. So if it came down to a battle between the two of them, I'm not necessarily sure that it would go any other way. But yeah, I mean, I think Leon is potentially. I mean, looking at the lap that he just set, he is one of the most fired up at this point in time. But I can't see him necessarily finishing ahead of Yannick today unless something happens to the pair of them. So I would probably say Yannick as well. But then, of course, we're completely ignoring the fact that Matthias Moos is on pole position for this race, and he is an extremely fast driver. Now, I have continued to look through the historic results, and I was wrong. The last driver to win 4 races in a row was indeed Rudy Van Buren, and that was the last 4 races that he drove in GPVWC Super League: Japan, USA, Mexico, and Brazil, 2017. And if he came back today or came back in the near future for a one-off outing, then he would have a chance of becoming a 5-time in a row winner, if that makes sense, which would be even more impressive. Not that we need to be any more impressed with Rudy Van Buren. Looks like Tom Stevens sent me that statistic at exactly the same time, so thank you for that, Tom. I promise I did find it by myself, but anyway.
But I was correct. My debut as a GPWC social media member was Australia 2020, so that was...
Fair enough. Rudy actually won 4 races in a row twice that year. He won Spain, Australia, Monaco, and Canada on the bounce as well. And yeah, I mean, still to this day, we have to see Rudy Van Buren as the GOAT of GPWC Super League. That is, unless someone like Mitchy Hoyer can say something about that in the near future, but we'll keep our eyes on the potential candidates. So, just under 2 minutes to go now until the end of this session. It's not long until the start of the first race, the race here at GPWC Super League. I say that because I'm used to doing Formula Sprint 1, which has 2 races. Robin Panzer there, Burst Esports. Burst have been there or thereabouts pretty much all the way through this series. Best result of 4th place, which was achieved by Robin Panzer at Azerbaijan. Now, Owen, I have been debating this with a few people recently. Would you count this circuit as a street circuit or not? In my mind, the answer is no, because yes, it's a public road, and for most of the year it does not serve as a racetrack. But you can't exactly call this a street, right? I mean, it's a road course. It's not. There are no houses or shops. What do you think?
Yeah, I get your point, Caitlin. Yeah, this is an artificial island, so it's not commonly used by the general public. There would be places where it's very narrow, but yeah, it is a sort of purpose-built facility compared to what we're used to with the street circuits of Monaco, Azerbaijan, Singapore. All of them are definitely public access roads. So yeah, I get your point, but yeah, I suppose just in the old-fashioned sense, it was one of the few tracks that felt like it was part of a city landscape rather than a permanent circuit. So yeah, it's kind of out of date. Yeah, I'd say you're right, Caitlin, but yeah, back in the day, it was probably as close to street circuit as you get away from Monaco.
It's the same with Albert Park or Bathurst or whatever. It drives me insane when people call those street circuits. I know that I guess you could technically call them that, but I mean, look at them. Anyway, back to the action. We've got the checkered flag on this warm-up session now, so just a few minutes to go before the start of the race. What happens now is the race director will pull all of the cars back into the pits, click the button to change the session over, and then they will have 60 seconds, we're not waiting that long, to get themselves to the starting grid. And their setup at this point is completely determined. They have no control over their setup whatsoever, over the except of course for the tire compound that they're starting on. I mean, some of them don't even have control over that. The amount of fuel that they're taking, hopefully enough to make the full race distance. And then, of course, the brakes, they can change the brake bias and the brake pressure and things like that, because that is a matter of safety. But aside from that, I mean, they can't change their wing angles, they can't change their suspension at all. And if they're not happy with their car after qualifying, I'm afraid it's tough luck. You're starting on that setup, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, it certainly adds the element of balancing out your performance. You can't just lob on the lowest wing settings and just hot lap your way to success. You have to balance it out. Matthias Moose has done the best job in qualifying, but we'll see if his setup and strategy can get him to convert that to the victory.
Hey Eoin, you've had your first fan comment. Jake Dennehan, of course, a famous Irish GPVWC driver, commentating on your Irish accent, saying it's very, very nice. Anyway.
My accent is quite tame compared to other people I know. So
away we go on the formation lap. Matthias Moose will be leading us away, followed by Leon Bock, Yannick Bock, and Chris Shepherd. So the two teams there at the front battling for honours. Thomas Harvey, HRT, is best of the rest. Then Mathieu Winnick, our championship leader. Robin Panzer, Ruben Machedi doing an excellent job there. Stefan Roth, P9, reigning champion. Then it's Daniel Stepkowski, Chris Butcher, and Yannis Vorburn. Those are the top 12. 13th, Thomas Foch, and then it's Mitchy Hoyer, Jeffrey Fournier, and Dan Brewer. Brewer, who often races a lot better than he qualifies, but may struggle today because this is a difficult circuit to pass on. Giordano Valeriano, David Fidok, Eros Masciuli, and Germano Zappala make the rest of the top 20. And then it's Luke Mitchell, Hygo Poom, Michael Francesconi, Philip Pushke. That's the team I was trying to remember the name of earlier, Stax Racing. Of course it is. Finally, David Yunt and Jan Dragoon will start from the back of the grid due to his grid penalty for ignoring blue flags in Monaco, which admittedly is a very, very easy thing to do. So we work our way towards the grid now. The top driver on the medium compound tyre, unsurprisingly, is Chris Butcher. As we all expected to happen, Yannis Vorburn will be starting on the hards, the full hards, and the top 10 are all going off the grid on soft tyres because that's what they set their qualifying laps on. David Fidok starting from the pits by the looks of things. The increasingly frustrated David Fidok, who deserves a lot more than he's been given in this series, and was actually out of position on the grid in the last race through no fault of his own, has decided to start from the pit lane, either that or just did not make it to the grid in time. So Eoin, the tension rising, we're about to get underway for a full Grand Prix distance at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve.
Yeah, this is the moment. The tension is absolutely rising for the drivers. We're waiting for the final car to make it onto the grid. So hopefully everyone has their tyres warmed up and ready. It's certainly quite an occasion to line out on the streets of Montreal, or Circuit Gilles Villeneuve of Montreal.
Don't do that.
We want to go to that again. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this, and fingers crossed for a good race.
Well, here come the lights. I'm not sure we can see them from this angle, but they will be illuminating. And when they go out, we'll be underway for 71 laps of action. Looks of everyone. There are the lights. Here we go. Cars already starting to smoke. And when the lights go out, we are underway. Go, go, go. Off the line goes the car of Matthias Moose leading into turn 1. Leon and Yannick side by side behind him. Leon appears to have got into the corner ahead. And then Chris Shepherd in 4th place. Some smoke coming out of our leader. Do not panic. That usually happens. It's due to the cars slightly overheating. But once they get air rammed through their air box, then they will be fine. Has everyone made it through safely? I can't see the back of the grid, but it looks as if everyone at the front has made it through safely at least. And David Fidog has joined the race from the pit lane at the back. A bit of a yellow flag showing, and some positions being lost for Chris Butcher. So Butcher has lost his front wing and is our first car in strife. And he had a really bad time in the Super Lights race the other day. Qualified decently, but then was taken out on the formation lap. Here we go through the hairpin at the end of the first lap. And down the the back straight before the start-finish straight. Zapala and Brewer swapping positions for 13th place. Slipstreaming taking effect, although not hugely effective until you get the DRS active, which will be from lap 3 onwards. The first lap finishes. Does everyone make it through the final corner safely? The first few do. And it's Moose leading from Leon, then Yannick, Shepherd, Harvey, Winnick, Panther, Machete, Raw, and Stepkowski, Eoin.
Yeah, solid start for the top 5 drivers, keeping a hold of position for the most part. Yeah, Leon ahead of Yannick for the Evolutions. Moose just got to hold steady here. Heading down to turn 6, I believe it is now. Good getaway out of 7. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, keeping a single file for the moment while the DRS is still on standby.
25 of the 26 cars made it through the first lap. Chris Butcher is the only one who hasn't, because he is in the pits, and hopefully will exit the pits and rejoin the race soon. But whatever the case, 25 cars still running, and now there are 26 because Butcher is back in the race. Back to the front, we have Mathieu Winnick still in the position that he started in, just behind Thomas Harvey. Harvey did a very good job at Monaco last time out, finished 3rd in that one, just behind Winnick and Buck in that very dramatic finish. Chris Shepherd slightly over the curbs. Everyone is going to be clipping that curb heavily at some point in this race. They just need to make sure that they get away with it. Leon there, fastest of anyone in the second lap of the race, and getting closer again to the back of Matthias Moose, not letting him get away after the start. We still have a real train of cars. The top 6 have been getting away a bit from the rest of the pack, but still, and actually Panzer got a lot closer in the first sector there, so still on the back of Mathieu Winnick in front of him. It's going to be difficult to keep up with the top 6 in this race. So fast were they in qualifying, but we saw how evenly matched the field was in general. 13 seconds separates the top 25 cars in this race, with only Chris Butcher having been affected by incidents so far. Now, DRS will be enabled right now. They've already used it once in that short straight heading towards the final sector, and now they will use it again on the longer straight of the circuit. Leon Buck opens the rear wing, and Moose has to watch his mirrors because Buck will be going for it to the inside. Leon Buck takes the lead of the race on lap 3.
Lovely stuff, and Leon will now cross the line in the lead, giving him that impetus he needs to go onto the top step of the podium and complete that ambition of his.
Leon Buck still yet to win a GPVWC Super League race, but he's leading this one very early on in the proceedings, so still way too early to be calling it as a success, but he's been very successful so far in everything he set out to do. Leon leading, Matthias Moose still 2nd, Yannick Buck is 3rd, and if you were wondering why Leon still had the DRS as he crossed the start-finish line despite being ahead of Matthias Moose, it's because there's only one detection zone for both of those straights, the penultimate straight and then the start-finish straight. And if you're behind coming out of the hairpin, then you will get the DRS down both of those straights, no matter whether you pass them or not. Here comes Matthias Moose now. Can he get back past Leon Buck this time around? Leon a little further ahead through that detection zone than Yannick Buck was behind Matthias Moose. Keep your eye on the back of the shot as well, because there may be cars further down going for overtakes who were closer than we could see. Sparks flying now as Leon Buck maintains the lead of the race, importantly so, from Moose. It's Evolution, Red Archer at the end of the 4th lap of the race. And Leon Buck is going very, very quickly, about half a second faster than pretty much anyone else that's following him.
Yeah, if he can carry on that pace, it'll be very difficult for Matthias Moos to really keep himself in the firing line for the win. But at the moment, he can just stay in the view of Leon and make sure if anything happens, he'll be there to pounce. Looking like he can make a gain here into 8 and 9 for the hairpin of 10. Yeah, I think he's stabilised this lap a little bit. We'll keep an eye out in the sector times. Yeah, Matthias Moos faster in the first 2 sectors.
The biggest gainer at the start there was Germano Zappala, up 7 positions in the order, as you can see. And according to my screen, he is on the soft tyre, so that's no real surprise, although still he's done a good job to actually make those manoeuvres. And of course, the biggest loser so far has been Chris Butcher, who was also the biggest loser in the Superlights race the other day. Chris Butcher having no luck, although we didn't see that instant. It may have been his own fault, and we just wouldn't know until we saw a replay. The race continues with Leon still just 0.7 of a second ahead of Matthias Moos. Their last laps were very similar. And then Yannick Buck was actually quicker than the both of them, trying to get involved in this one, the rest of the train of cars. And here is a replay. And this will be of Chris Butcher. Thank you so much, Tom. You're an absolute star to get this to us. This is in the middle sector of the first lap of the race. And as he breaks into, he lost it. And I think he may have had a touch from behind. There's a HRT car involved in that one. And I think he may have got a shove from behind. That would have been from Yannis Volburn there. Here we are on board with Yannis Volburn. Bit of lag, but ignore that. That's just the replay not quite playing ball. And yes, indeed, Yannis ran straight into the back of Chris Butcher and has taken him into the barriers early on in this race. No fault of Chris Butcher's there. DRS open on the back straight. And Yannick looking racy. There's also a move going on in the background there. That may have been Raw and Machete. So Raw getting up into P8 as Yannick not quite able to benefit from Matthias Moos's slower exit speed on the exit of the final corner. 1/10 of the race done now. Leon Buck still leading, but we've still got a fight for the lead, spanning maybe the first 6 or 7 cars, Eoin.
Yeah, excellent to see the high competition still running after the first 7 laps. You might think in your mind someone will have made a sprint and make it on their own. But yeah, 7 cars within 3 seconds of each other or thereabouts. Makes for a great race. We'll see if anyone Stefan Roth will want to make his way into that group after completing the fastest lap of 1:13.2. So yeah, we could even have more cars than you expect in the competition for the win.
Shout out to Godona for the kind comment in the YouTube chat. Thank you very much for that one. As we look back to the straight again, this is where things tend to change when they do change. Roth was able to get back up into the top 8 that last time around as a result of the slipstream on the straight. And further back, someone was going for a move there. And that was that Machete taking a look back at Roth? It may have been Roth who's caught up to the back of Panzer now. So Roth on an early race charge. And Stepkowski is behind, he's between Machete and Hoyer right now, a little bit sandwiched in the mid-pack there. Racing for E-Team Hard, which of course is the sim racing division of the real life Team Hard, who race in BTCC, as well as, I swear I've seen a Team Hard Porsche in the past racing in Britcar. So they've been all over British club racing, and Daniel Stepkowski all over the track right there. DRS now for Mitchy Hoyer. He might have a move here because Stepkowski made a mistake. Hoyer is on the outside line, but they touch, and off the road goes Mitchy Hoyer, and he rejoins alongside and behind Daniel Stepkowski.
Goodness me, that's Stefan Roth.
Roth touches with Panzer. This is for P7. I saw a yellow flag, so hopefully everyone was okay in that one. I was a little worried when we switched to it. Michael Francesconi is out of the race. Yeah. So he is our second retirement because we've got someone else out. But keep watching Roth. He's on the grass. Roth's on the grass with the DRS open. That was a recipe for disaster there. and I feel like drivers are not giving each other enough room in this race so far. There's a little bit of disrespect going on out there between some of these contenders, and I'm a little bit disappointed. Francesconi was the first driver out of the race. Chris Butcher was still behind him at the time I mentioned it, so that's why it looked like there were two out of the race. But Butcher is still going, despite being a long way down. But yes, Royal did a great job to hold that one. When you find yourself on the grass at full throttle with the DRS open, and you're alongside a car, you know that you're in a bit of trouble there. And Robin Panto is obviously not feeling very happy about the situation that had happened a few corners earlier, however that started. My goodness, Eoin, I'm surprised everyone's still pointing the same direction after that lap.
Yeah, the swords and shields are getting out there, getting very personal. Oh, look at Thomas Harvey now.
Yes.
He's side by side.
Harvey's alongside with Shepherd. Look at this.
Yeah.
Now, do they see each other? Do they give each other enough room? Mitchy Winnick might be about to make it 3 wide. They all get DRS. And they are 3 wide on the straight. Now who's and for second, and Yannick Buck backs out of it.
Oh,
and
Winnick,
they do
my goodness.
Winnick is 4th, Harvey 5th. So Shepherd has been passed by both of them now. Winnick making a fantastic double overtake on the straight. Fantastic, great stuff. Great driving from Mitchy Winnick.
He's playing a bit of 4D chess there, Caitlin. He's managed to time that move to perfection with the other two drivers slowing each other down. He had DRS himself. Took the outside line and then oversped past them both. Brilliant.
It looked like a relatively easy move because you had the two other cars holding themselves up out of the final chicane. But it was Winnick's run, Winnick's acceleration of that chicane that really gave him this place. Look at that, he's gone around the outside of both of them. DRS wide open, double slipstream. Thank you very much, I will see you later. Mitchy Winnick is a real contender for a podium, potentially a win later on in this race, depending on how the rest of it goes.
Indeed, now Linnick will be entering the top 3 battle for the podium. That's not good news for Yannick Bock. He would be hoping to help his teammate out whilst also improving his own fortunes. But Matthias Moose is gaining a little bit more on Leon Bock this lap, but maybe that chicane to end the lap went awry. We'll see the comparison. Yeah, so Leon gained a 10th back. But yeah, so Leon has that increase in his lead restored, but the pressure has certainly felt by everyone behind Leon at the minute. It's so close.
The top 10 cars crossed the start-finish line separated by 5 seconds on that last lap, and that would be really impressive if it was the second lap. It's the 11th lap. This is fantastic stuff here at Montreal, and the top 3 were less than a second apart. And I don't just mean there was less than a second gap between each of them to each other. I mean there was less than a second between Yannick in 3rd place and Leon in 1st. Do you reckon that part of it, Eoin, might be that Leon is trying to hold up the pack to allow Bock to get up to 2nd? Or do you think that this is just generally how close everyone is at this point in time?
My vote would be on the latter, to be honest. It wouldn't make much sense for Leon to compromise his own race so early on. If you can get that 1 second advantage to break free of the DRS train, that would certainly be good for both the Evolution cars, in my opinion. But if genuinely everyone's on pace, then there's nothing Leon can do about it. He just has to do his own thing.
Into the pits has come Stefan Roth. So Roth, who was boxed in, going for a very early pit stop there, potentially putting his car into a 3-stop strategy, which, to be honest, I'm not that surprised about, having watched the Super Lights race the other day. It certainly seemed as if multiple pit stop strategies were the way to go, and 3 stoppers will definitely be prevalent here today. Here's Mitchy Hoyer. This is when he got forced off the road by Daniel Stepkowski, and I know I mentioned this in the Superlights broadcast the other day, but that is exactly how my weekend ended in FS2 the other day, getting forced into the barriers at that point in the circuit. There is Stefan Roth up the inside of Panzer, who got an awful exit to that corner, and he ran over the grass. And of course, Roth would then be forced over the grass again, heading down the next straight. Roth acting as the world's fastest lawnmower, making sure that the grass is even all the way around this Circuit Gilles Villeneuve right now, and we commend him for his service.
Yeah, keeping the grass tidy, that's for sure. It's service as it is at the front. No a significant change. Each driver just really blow for blow, very much equal, plus or minus 1/10 of a second each way. It's fantastic. We now see more pit strategies taking effect. Mitchy Hoyer going into the pits, Machete and Zapala as well.
Yep, 3 stoppers for all of these guys, surely. And this track is definitely a grip-reliant one. You need the traction to be able to get out the slower corners quicker. You need the grip to be able to keep the car under control after you've flung it over the curbs at the final couple of corners. So I'm not hugely surprised to see people coming into the pits so readily in this race. Look out for 2 stoppers later on, look out for 3 stoppers, but do not by any means expect 1 stoppers, because the last time we saw though, I mean, we saw them in the Super Lights race, but even then they were touch and go and weren't necessarily the best way to go. Lap 13 of this race, and Eoin Bock is still under pressure from Matthias Moos. Down the back straight towards the start-finish straight. I guess technically and into the pits comes Thomas Harvey. So Thomas Harvey and Chris Shepherd and Robin Pansar all deciding to cover off the drivers who pitted behind them a few laps ago. Stefan Roth actually found quite a bit of clean air actually after that pit stop. Didn't come out directly behind anyone. Winnick's a little way up the road, so I think he should be okay actually. Should gain a little from all of this. Winnick gaining places as he passes the start-finish straight and easily comes out ahead of Thomas Harvey. Actually, is closer than I thought it would be between the two of them. So Winnick holds that position ahead of Harvey. Those two were right together in that order before the pit stages. I think the driver who may have benefited from this is Stefan Roth, because he's now got no one between him and Thomas Harvey. And if Robin Panther is going to come out in that gap, then it's and he's not got much room to do it. Look at Yannick Bock now. He has the DRS open and he's going for his first proper attempt on Matthias Moos, and he makes it stick. It is an Evolution 1-2, but not for long, because into the pits comes Eoin Bock. So that move puts Yannick up into the lead of the race, as Eoin stops what I presume will be a set of mediums, unless he wants to make this a relatively long second stint. But yes, Yannick leads now with that move on Matthias Moos. Mitchy Hoyer temporarily up to 3rd, and Eoin does go for a set of hards. Now, I'd like to know what tyres the Edge esports drivers came out on that, because they were some of the first to stop, and they both went for hard. So none of the drivers pitting early in this race going for the mediums, obviously wanting to keep themselves a little more flexible than that, and run as long into the race as they see fit. I don't see why not, to be honest. You've got to use another set of tyres in this race at some point, so you might as well get them out of the way right now.
Yeah, and with Eoin emerging out of the pits in 13th, the pressure will be on some of these drivers in between who have yet to stop. Heiko Poom there running in 12th for Epic is there. Then Filip Pushka for Stax is also proving to be a hurdle for the drivers who had been ahead. Oh, there's a spinner.
Backward.
What's Adonys's Luke Mitchell. Yes.
So Mitchell was facing backwards, and that has almost swapped the positions of Harvey and Winnick. I was about to say that they were very close. Bock and Winnick. I was about to say that they were very close, and they are going to swap. Look, they have swapped. So Winnick gets past Bock in a straight line. Matching Winnick has taken Eoin Bock and is now up into a net podium position in that one. Thomas Harvey still right on the back of them. And that was all started by the fact that all of these drivers have had to fight their way through back markers, and they were all a little held up by Luke Mitchell's backwards facing Adonis there. Now into another one of the chicanes on this lap. Matching Winnick appears to have slightly touched the wall that time around, but he should be okay in that one. Mitchell came into the pits as a result of that. No surprise there. Here's Heiko Poom now, yet to stop. Has Eoin Bock coming up his inside. And that was relatively straightforward. Good stuff. Good to see he's not getting too involved. Look at this. This is like qualifying for Monza 2019, I think it was. Absolutely nose to tail. Drivers moving slower, quicker. Up the inside goes Thomas Harvey and goes through. And Stefan Roth's going to follow him. Stefan will get the DRS. Meanwhile, we have another driver in the pits, Daniel Brewer, up the head of the field.
And
so
Yannick
Daniel
as well.
Brewer and Yannick Buck comes in. So Mitchy Hoyer leads the race. Here is Stefan up the inside of Hygo Poom. Goes through. P13 temporarily for Stefan Roth. I think that the drivers who have pitted earlier in this race are getting held up by all of these cars. And they have been, because out of the pits comes Yannick, and he is ahead of not only his teammate and brother, but also Matchin Winnick. So Yannick Buck now has jumped Leon Buck, and it looks there has been a real shake-up of the net order. I think that Yannick Buck may be the net leader after all of this. Well, he will be, because all of his main rivals have already made their stops. Mitchy Hoyers wasn't battling them before all of this, was he? So yes, it looks like Yannick Buck is in prime position to lead this race now. Matchin Winnick has also jumped Matthias Moos.
Yeah, that's a crucial period of the race here now. Yannick will hopefully have a clean opportunity to battle with David Fidok, who is running a longer first stint. He won't have it all his own way. He's got to watch out for Mlinek, who loves the slingshot effect. So we'll see what happens here. Yeah, so both are through from Fidok. And then the next set of DRS will kick in here on the start-finish straight. Yeah, so it looks like Yannick has pulled off the strategic masterclass for the first stint, but still a long way to go.
Hoyer and Fournier have pitted, so Thomas Voch leads the race, and look at that, comes out right alongside. They're almost 3 wide with Stefan Roth there on the pit exit, and Roth was not able to get past Robin Panzer in that one, and that's got to be... Sorry, that's not Panzer, is it? Because Roth is a little further back in the order, so that's Mitchy Hoyer. So Hoyer there has jumped Roth. They were not that way round before the pit stages. Oh, and look at that, that was Leon getting a little held up. Oh, and a bit of contact. Leon Buck around the outside and off the road, rejoins and keeps the position.
Yeah, it's a logistical nightmare because Leon used the runoff to gain the position, and now Thomas Harvey's passed. So what do you do if you're the stewards?
Yeah, that's a good point, because he did use the runoff to gain the position, but they're not really fighting for position in the race order. You still can't do that, though. Mitchy Hoyer now goes through. So does Stefan Roth. David Fidok is the yellow car, the Epic Racing Team car that you see in that one, and he stays out. Fournier apparently still in the pits. I think that may be a technical a screen glitch or something along those lines. Through goes Panzer. So yes, as I was saying, Mitchy Hoyer has genuinely jumped both Panzer and Roth as a result of those 2 cars being held up. And Matchin Winnick here. Why does it say that Yannick Buck hasn't stopped? He has, hasn't he?
Of course he has, yeah. That's a definite glitch. He was absolutely in the pits or later than his teammate, and he came out in front of Matchin Winnick.
Okay, resetting it hasn't worked, so we'll have to remember that Yannick has indeed stopped. I got a little confused by that there. David Fidok being passed again. That's by Chris Shepherd now. Chris Shepherd's dropped back quite a lot since this race has started, hasn't he? He was one of the first drivers to be overtaken in this race, and since then just has not been able to keep up. There's Ruben Machete, reminding us all that he is in this race and a real contender. Honestly, at this point, the podium contenders are up in the air. I mean, not literally, but it could go to anyone in this fight. Ruben, goes to the left. I thought he was going to go to the right, but he's gone to the left, got the slipstream from Chris Shepherd in front of him, and he will make the move stick now. Through he goes. And into the pits came Yanis Woolburn. So that's put Winnick up into the podium for real now. So Walk leads by 6 seconds from Yannick Buck, and then Matchin Winnick. Yannick is the net leader. Winnick second. Matthias Moos is third, despite taking pole earlier on in this race. Here's a replay, and this will be of Leon Buck making contact with David Fidok, running off the road, and Thomas Harvey and his other main rivals will be sitting back and thinking, "That's not allowed. Stewards, where are you?" But anyway, the stewards don't look at incidents like that until after the race. Saw a little yellow flag there. Hopefully that was nothing major. I'm getting a little antsy in this race because there's a lot of drivers on different strategies getting in each other's way. And earlier on, we saw drivers just not quite understanding how wide their cars were. So, hopefully that was nothing major. Stepkovsky, the next car to pass Vidok, will probably do it on this straight. 20 laps through this race. Tomasz Rock is in the pits now, so Yannick leads the race. Tomasz, who was extremely unlucky not to win there's the front wing. Who was that from? There was definitely a wing flying down the straight, and I thought I saw someone lock up at turn 1. Mitchy Hoyer! So Mitchy Hoyer is dropping down the order, and there he is. Oh, still appears to have a front wing. Oh, there he goes. His rear wing vanishes before our eyes as the game updates. So it was his rear that came off, and that was as a result of him striking the Wall of Champions. And Mitchy will be touring back to the pits to get that repaired and see if he can finish this race. But he will not have any more chance of a top 10 finish, surely. Here's a replay. Looks as if the steering's already hanging, but I think, again, that's a replay glitch because you don't see it reacting at all. Into the wall, rear wing off. And he'll be returning to the pits, hopefully a bit slower than that. Is this another replay? Yes, this is the outside view of his accident. Right there, off goes the wing. Just like Pastor Maldonado in 2013.
It's scary for those drivers that were behind Mitchy, seeing that wing come up. Thankfully, they would have been able to bat it away without too much problem.
Yes, I don't think anyone actually struck it, but even if they did, they should be okay. Thomas Harvey right on the back of Leon Buck. The tyre graphic just updating. Top driver on mediums is Germano Zappala right now. Pretty much everyone else on softs. Obviously, we do also have our Aris Masculi out there on mediums. Mitchy Hoyer seems to have made it back to the pits, potentially. Philip Pushkin now into the top 15. Has been getting a lot more consistent in this series, getting right back up to speed after his long break from GPVWC. We should be seeing him in the top 10 soon in this series, I'd say. On board with Harvey, DRS. He is actually quite close to Leon Buck here. The chicane coming a bit too soon for him, though. If that was a flat-out corner, he'd still be on his tail right now, still be trying to overtake him. Across the start-finish line, the gap about 2 or 3 tenths of a second, probably less than that actually.
About 2 tenths from what I can see. Harvey gains that much time out of Leon's advantage, so if he can do that one more time, they'll be neck and neck. But as we've heard many times, chasing is one thing and overtaking is another, or at least I paraphrase that from Murray Walker.
Buck leading by 2 seconds from Matthew Winnick, getting away a little in these early stages. We're about maybe 3/8 of the way through the race, but that was very quick mental arithmetic as Moose still on the back of Winnick and Harvey still on the back of Buck, which is what we are watching right now. And it's still way too early to call the podium contenders. Harvey has a much better attempt this time, goes to the inside, gets his nose in front, goes through and makes the corner. So Thomas Harvey is up into 4th position. He was best of the rest in qualifying, and now he's in and amongst that battle in the race. Stefan Roth might be about to have a swipe as well, because Buck had a very slow exit to that final corner. So Stefan right there. A little further back, Panzer and Shepard are fighting. Machete's still 9th. Zebkovsky still 10th. And we still have 25 drivers in this race, with the last of those being Mitchy Hoyer after his little incident that we saw a couple of laps ago. The lead gap now out to 3 seconds. So Yannick, in this stage, certainly looking like the fastest car out there, but don't panic if you want to see a lead battle. I think we might still get one towards the end. It's just that at this stage in the race, Yannick has the advantage. We often see strategies and cars accordion back together in the last few laps.
Indeed, yeah. Stefan Roth, as we see on camera, is trying to make Leon Bock's life even harder. But I think Leon has stabilized his momentum after that last lap. So yeah, you can just focus on what he needs to do and see if Stefan can react to it more than anything, really. Oh, look at this now. Shepard versus Pansar. And there you go. Great overtake from Shepard, leaving it to the last moment to head into the first two turns. And the inside line was there for him to take.
Shepard P7 then. Through he goes on Robin Pansar. Very, very good stuff. Now, Stefan Roth, reigning champion, #1 on the side of his car. On the back of Leon Bock, who was looking so strong earlier on in this race, made a move for the lead, but lost time in those pit stages due to getting held up by back markers, and probably just didn't pit at quite the right time, according to his strategy. Still definitely in with a shot of the podium today, but we'll need to defend for his life here because Stefan is not an easy driver to fend off. And here goes Stefan Roth up the inside. Stefan going for 5th. And into the chicane, he gets it. So Stefan now into the top 5 in this race. Leon Bock leading not too long ago, showing us just how quickly a race can turn.
Indeed, I don't think it's necessarily his fault. I couldn't explain exactly what's happening, but I suppose the other drivers feel more comfortable on the hard compound. And Leon, during the battles after his first pit stop, he may have felt his chance to regain his lead were squandered. It was just too difficult to get past the other drivers for position that had yet to stop. So I suppose it's kind of put him off, but there's still time to regain. They have to make his moves quickly now.
This is the battle for second. Winnick, Moose and Harvey. A 3-way scrap into the hairpin. DRS about to be effective. It's very difficult to work out who has the fastest car in a straight line this weekend. They all seem to have got the setup quite right. And Moose is a lot closer to Winnick than Harvey is to Moose. But yeah, we don't see any other drivers, or any drivers with a significant straight line advantage, or a significant cornering advantage right now. It all seems to be down to whoever's behind goes fastest, on the straights at least. Thomas Roth,
yeah.
side by side with Germano Zapala. Oh, rubbing wheels. They're safe.
Yeah, all fair in love and war there for Vok. Zapala gave him as much room as he possibly could, but contact was soft enough that they were able to resume the race without any problems. But the cameras take us back now to the battle for second. Matthias Moose putting in a strong second sector, I would assume, yes, at 24.049 there in the second sector. And this gives him the ability to chase Mlinek and go for what I believe will be the inside line. It's just opened up in that moment, Caitlin. So I believe it's got to be done.
Matthias Moose goes through, and Winnick lets him have it. There we go, through the final chicane. Matthias Moose takes second position in this race. A pole sitter getting back past Winnick in a position that he lost through the pit stages. Thomas Harvey is now right back on the tail of Mathieu Winnick as well. I was saying earlier on that Mathieu Winnick would be extremely difficult to beat. Matthias Moose is going to be a force to be reckoned with as well. Matthias, who finished second in Bahrain, but has been in the top 10 at every race so far this season. Sniffs his best opportunity of a win so far. About 5 seconds to gain on Yannick. Here's Tomasz Wach, and this is the small instance of contact that we saw just a couple of minutes ago, and they made it through okay. Zapala's on board will show the other side of the story on a different compounded tyre as well to Tomasz, and there he goes. Has to see him disappear into the distance. I say
Palla's
disappear.
entry speed was really quick, has to be said, but he was able to slow it down enough, and contact was minimal.
There's now a car between them too. Yannis Warburn is up to P13 in this race. Thomas Harvey, yeah, now free to fight Winnick, I think. Winnick seemed a lot faster in the first stint of this race. Not quite as comfortable now, is he? I wonder whether that's because now he's on the defensive rather than the offensive. But then again, with Moose having just got past him, he could have got offensive again. Keep watching this scrap for a little. We've got Roth, Buck, Shepherd, etc. catching, trying to get involved. Into the hairpin. Almost 30 laps through this race already. The lead gap still not particularly close. Also, it's not a dominant race from Yannick. Things could definitely still change, especially at a circuit as difficult as this one. It's the battle for second, third and fourth where things almost inevitably will change. And then the further battles a little bit back. Roth has Buck for close company. Less than half a second between Roth and Buck that last time through, in fact. That's for 5th and 6th. The rest of the field also triggering the timing beam. The fastest lap in this race so far has been set by Chris Butcher, who of course pitted earlier on in this race after losing his front wing through no fault of his own. And obviously he's decided that he's just going to go out there and push as hard as he can. And no surprise there, he's got nothing to lose, everything to gain. Might just want to go for fastest lap for the sake of it. It's funny actually, so far this season, actually no, I've been looking at the wrong column. The fastest lap is actually held by Daniel Brewer there. I told you he raced better than he qualifies, but he's doing qualifying laps in the race by the look of things. Very fast so far, Eoin.
Absolutely, yeah. It'd be great to see him keep up this form. Get the result. Thomas Hardy hitting those curbings really severely, but it's not put his car off at all. Maybe too late to dive for an overtake here. Yeah, he's got to stay behind Caitlin. Yeah, but it's really going to put Mlinek under pressure. But he would have known pressure in his last 3 races, and he rose above all of it. So he's just got to do it yet again here in Montreal.
So, there you see the winners and losers of this race so far. A couple of drivers up 4 places. Dragoon up 5, although a couple of those, well, one of those was a DNF anyway. A couple of those were various different incidents. Philip Pushke in the pits drops out of the top 15. Giordano Valeriano is in the top 15 now. And the reason I confused Chris Butcher for having the fastest lap of the race is because his fastest lap was last time around, actually. So he's the fastest driver out there right now. Although one of the Stax cars getting out of the way of these leaders, that will be David Yunt there, with the leaders going through. Lapri is going to be an important part of this race. Earlier on, of course, we saw traffic coming into play, but that was with drivers on the same lap as these guys. Now they have to deal with people on different laps because of how short this circuit is and how difficult it is, how many drivers have been involved in incidents. And that could be something to look out for towards the end as well, where the pack will be even more spread out. Of course, no safety cars, caution periods, lucky dog passes, or anything like that to keep the back of the pack close to the front. So you do often see drivers dropping back and then just becoming moving chicanes, whether they like it or not.
Yeah, it's what you see is what you get here in GPVWC. I saw pit stop for Zappala this time around, and that puts him out into 16th position. I didn't see what tyres he took, but they'd be able to go to possibly the end of the race from here. It'd be a tough one, but could possibly do it, or else it'd be a 3-stopper.
Thomas Harvey even closer to the back of Winnick this time around. Someone kicked up the dust. I don't know if that was Winnick or Harvey. Maybe in Thomas because he's pushing so hard. Clearly hasn't given up the opportunity to overtake Matchin Winnick. The overlay still saying that Yannick Bock has not yet made a pit stop, but he has. Of course, leading this race, but doing so on merit. The gap remaining relatively stable between them. Ruben Machete now in the pits. That's a good sign, actually, that we're about to get the second pit window opening wide up, because Machete's one of the drivers who has not been involved in any sort of ding-dongs or anything yet in this race, so if he's coming in, that means that others will surely follow soon, either in retaliation or just anticipation of their own battles. Down the back straight, Harvey very close to Winnick. This is an opportunity here for Thomas Harvey. Opens the DRS to the inside. He's going to be over way before the corner. And Thomas Harvey takes third position away from Matthew Winnick at the point in the circuit where everyone's been making the overtakes so far today. Bock leads, followed by Moose, and now Thomas Harvey.
Another change in the battle for the podium. Just spices things up even more. Harvey is absolutely a title contender. Just probably a bit more consistent, getting those points on the board. And he'd love another podium, and still dreaming of that victory.
Towards the end of this particular lap, Thomas Harvey already starting to get away a bit from Mathieu Winnick. It did look as if Winnick was under a bit of pressure ever since Moose got past him. I wonder if he'll swap places with Ruot now and allow Stefan to have a go at getting past Harvey, bringing him back into that scrap a little. Two Edge Esports teammates right there. Both of them very capable drivers. They've known each other for a long time. I was commentating Super Cup, now known as FS1, back when they were teammates in that, and they finished 1-2 in that championship back in 2018. One of the best scraps that I've ever seen. They did come together actually in Italy, in Monza that year, but the rest of the championship, they were so good, so clean and fast. Daniel Stepkowski in the pits. Thomas Roch in the top 10 in the other E-Team hard car. And out of the pits goes Stepkowski. That would have been such a result for E-Team hard and Thomas Roch if he'd won at Monaco last week, or last race. Was looking on course to do that up until my internet dropped out, and then as soon as I started missing it all, everything hit the fan. But anyway,
I hope those hard feelings have passed for Tomas at this stage, and he can try and get himself a good result today. That'll be the most important thing. We're now watching Leon Bock's progress. He is still trying to make gains on Stefan Roth. It's not going to be enough this lap. I think he might have lost a little bit of time moving along. It's Machete. That's a battle with Valeriano, and he's certainly made himself look intimidating. He's pulled out a good gap here, Caitlin.
Indeed. Now, this is the point in the race where things have calmed down a little. They are about to get a lot more exciting though, because as we saw from Machete, the pit window, the second pit window, is about to be pried open by the drivers on 3-stop strategies, which it appears is pretty much everyone. And here we see a replay. This will be Thomas Harvey. And you're about to see him going over the curb a little hard. And that was apparently meant to be his overtake, but we got the wrong lap. Never mind. We all saw it happen anyway, so it's no big deal. But yes, this race is a little straightforward right now, but it's definitely going to get more exciting again. this does tend to happen, and then all it takes is for one little incident or overtake or a spat of pit stops in order to really spice it up again. And it usually does get spiced up again, because in this second sequence of pit stops, we're going to probably see drivers going for different sets of tyres, therefore coming out at different speeds to one another. And you're going to see drivers pitting at different times. Some might get held up. The order is probably going to change in the next few laps, whether dramatically or in a minor way, but it makes the race so much more exciting, because then we have cars out of position and trying to fight their way back to where they should be.
I think this is a lot better now for Leon. This lap, he's cut 4/10 out of Stefan's time in sectors 1 and 2, and he may be able to complete the trifecta with DRS. But now we check out Harvey, who is doing a super job this stint. He'd love to get second place now, and as a matter of fact, there you go. Leon Bock has made it back ahead of Stefan Rualt and is 5th.
He is indeed. Leon Bock, 5th position in this race at this point in time. Mathieu Winnick, just a couple of tenths of a second up the road now for that battle there. Yannick Bock's gap for the lead, 4 seconds. Then it's Matthias Moos, Thomas Harvey, Mathieu Winnick, Leon Bock, Stefan Roth, Chris Shepard, Robin Panzer, Jeffrey Fournier. Why am I'm very tired today. And then Thomas Rock in P10. Normally it's Oliver Perikian, whose name I get absolutely tripped up over, but he's not even here today, and I was calling someone Olivier. Whoops.
No matter. It always happens to the best of us, Caitlin.
Thomas Harvey so much quicker than Matthias Moos now on the straight. He hasn't been that much quicker over the last few individual laps, but the aggregate has got him right up to the back of the Red Archer Virtual Racing Team car. And this is the fight for second. Stefan Roth now in the pits. So Stefan Roth, another one of our front runners, coming in for their second stop of the day. Don't think that hard tyres can go the full distance from here, because these drivers have done about 20 laps maybe on the hards, and they'd have to go another 31. So realistically, they'll be going onto the hards again, but then finishing the race on another set in a little way. I think that was just a lag spike there, Owen. It looked bad. It looked like he cut the corner really badly, but I think it may have just been a little lag spike heading up to the corner.
Stefan pitted earlier than most of the other front runners, so yeah, he's done it again here, hoping to make another wave in this race, see if he can get the top 5 back.
I think he might. Again, we know he's capable of it. Stefan Roth, the reigning champion, has had a little bit of a slow start to this series. Currently 10th in the championship, best result of 7th so far. Looked to be doing better at the first round, but was penalised. And hasn't won for a little while in this series, but he has still been there or thereabouts. Won the very last race of 2021, so I guess only six races since his last victory. There just happens to have been a big whopping great winter in the middle. I'm getting Discord notifications. Tom Stevens saying there could be rain near the end of the race. That would be spicy.
Yeah.
Yellow flags out there somewhere. There's the green.
The miss here. I know that Philippe Prischke has entered the pits, so that shouldn't affect this battle for P2. They'll be through or next to Philippe, and they'll get the blue flags out. Good lap there for Daniel Brewer who's running 19th at the moment at 1 minute 11.9. But no doubt benefited from fresh tyres to help him along there. Another top runners here pitting as well, Caitlin.
Yes, so Winnick in and Shepherd in. Tom Stevens says there's been a severe thunderstorm and tornado warning. Well, you'll be pleased to know that there are no tornadoes programmed into R-Factor 2, although thunderstorms and heavy rain definitely have been. And the weather in R-Factor 2 in this plugin that we're using is usually delayed by about an hour from the real thing. So if the thunderstorm started an hour ago in Canada, then there's a real chance that we could get one here in this race as well. But, I mean, the skies are looking relatively overcast, but, I mean, there is no drizzle or anything. So until then, let's just carry on with what we see. And what we see is two of the top three coming straight into the pits. Matthias Moose and Thomas Harvey coming in together now. Leon Bock will extend his lead to about 10 seconds over his brother and teammate. And Moose and Harvey are going to come out quite close to each other, but where do they come out in relation to Roth and Winnick, who have already stopped? Well, Moose exits the pits a lot sooner than Harvey. Harvey is really held up there. And there's a chance he didn't enable pit requests soon enough, and that means that Roth and Winnick are between the two of them. So was that wasn't Matthias Moose, that was Chris Shepherd. Chris Shepherd has lost his front wing, potentially on the exit of the final corner, and he's going to have to do a full lap like that. But yes, Chris Shepherd, who was well and truly inside the top 10 for the majority of this race, has made some kind of mistake or had some kind of incident. What I was going to say is that Roth and Winnick have both jumped Thomas Harvey. Here's what happened to Shepherd. It was probably the final corner. It was not the final corner. It's going to be down into turn 1. Is it going under braking maybe? So much for... Whoa! Was that...
Yeah, again, yeah. I'm still used to this. He must have just lost it.
Yeah, well, the lag spike makes it very difficult to work out what actually happened. I mean, there's one or two options, really. Either that's what he saw on his screen, and the game genuinely registered the damage that he would have picked up by going flying through the wall like that, or he had a lose which caused the lag spike, but it didn't look like that on anyone else's screen. I think the second might be more likely, actually, because he did have the DRS and he was trying to pass someone through that little right-hand kink. So I think what may have happened is that he lost control as a result and spun the car around, hit the wall, and off came his front wing, and then we just saw the resulting lag spike, which made it look like his car was flipping into the void. But anyway, Shepherd makes it back to the pits now, and drops out of the points-paying positions.
You know, look at Harvey. He's on a mission to make up for that lost time, and he could do it as early as the turn 10 hairpin. But I suppose he'll use the DRS opportunity instead, and that's Robin Pansar looking to see if anything will happen and give him the opportunity to pounce as well.
Here we go. Here comes Thomas Harvey on Mitchy Hoyer up the inside, and he's going to get that done. There we go. So through goes Thomas Harvey. Jeffrey Fournier now into the pits. Now, Tom, has Leon stopped for a second time? Because he's ahead of Harvey, Winnick and Rural here. Well, there's Winnick side by side with Pansar now. But yeah, I'd love to see if we can, if Leon's made his second stop. We may have seen it and I've just forgotten it. Yes, he has. So, as Winnick and Pansar both run across the grass there, losing time. So Leon Bock has jumped both of the Edge Esports drivers and is probably back onto the net podium, Eoin.
Amazing stuff here for Leon. That's why you never give up.
Well, that can't necessarily be right, because Stepkowski hasn't stopped twice, has he? It says he has, but I don't think he actually has. Stepkowski's in there as a result of having not stopped for a second time.
Yeah, we'll investigate that one. Yeah, I wouldn't assume Stepkowski is in the battle for the podium, but yeah, a huge development there for Leon. Having a bad lap there was Milinek. And now actually he's pushing hard as he can to get the position back from Panzer, and he's done it. And look at Janus Volborn as well in the background, seeing what he can do. Oh, he's actually going to hold off for the moment, I suppose, a wise decision.
Yeah, so Leon stopped as we were watching that replay. I've just been back to check on the live stream. And yes, that all happened as we were watching the replay. Stepkowski has not stopped for his second time. Unless I've missed something really dramatic, but I would be very surprised. Quite a confusing race at this point in time. Again, I've learned so far this series that you can't really talk about the net order past a certain point in the race, because then someone will do a crazy strategy that you never even thought possible, and it'll be like, oh, this guy was leading all along. Okay, never mind. But anyway, for the time being, Yannick Bock has gained back quite a lot there. In fact, Matthias Moose has come up behind him, hasn't he? So Yannick Bock... Yeah, because Yannick stopped for a second time too, hasn't he? So Yannick... Oh, sorry, he was already in the lead. I'm getting him confused with Leon. Yannick leads, right. Moose second, Rolt third. Rolt ahead of Leon Bock. And then... So how did Rolt get that? Because Rolt was also behind him with Winnick, so Rolt must have passed him out there somewhere. This is confusing. The net podium order does appear to be what you're seeing there, though. Bock, Moose, Rolt. That is Yannick Bock, Moose, and Rolt. And then the top outlier would have to be Daniel Stepkowski, who in reality is about 9th or 10th in this race. That is, providing people's strategies don't clash too much, it could still change.
Indeed, Josh Downard in the chat has let us know that Stepkowski has stopped twice, but he stopped 10 laps before the guys we're looking at for the podium. So he has had the undercut for the moment, so that will explain that situation. Thank you, Josh.
Okay, down the straight, Jannis Vorburn side by side with... I don't know. Oh, it's Jannis Vorburn. Oh, yes, yeah, and Matchin Winnick. So Jannis Vorburn gets through. Has Vorburn stopped for a second time? Here comes Panzer. Vorburn may have done, actually. I guess we can't really trust the graphics in this one, but anyway. So Jannis Vorburn, for the time being, up into P7. A good move on Matchin Winnick. Winnick down to 8th now. Again, showing how quickly a race can change. It all changed for Leon earlier on. It's all changing for Matchay now. Yannick's not as far up the road from Matthias as he was previously. Could things have another dramatic twist coming? Only time will tell, I guess, Owen.
Yeah, that is for certain, Caitlin. Whatever incidents could happen between now and the end, you just can never be 100% sure. Yeah, just trying to keep note of all the other drivers that might be going longer, that are trying to compete for the points. That's something I'm going to try and now look into. Yeah, just have to wait and see as the queue carries on.
Yeah, sorry, I've only just registered what Josh said in that comment that you were talking about there. Yes, you are absolutely right, Josh. So the graphics are telling the truth there, and Chris Shepherd is now also out of the race, I'm afraid. So Shepherd, after hitting the wall just now, has decided to pit. It's Sky Scream saying it's raining hard here in Montreal. And Tom, did you just point out that it's raining on the stream, is it?
Yes. Race View says weather has changed to rain.
It does look like there's a little mist in the air, doesn't it? I reckon. Yes, so it is raining out there now. And I think if this is going to benefit anyone, it's going to benefit people who haven't made their second stop yet, or haven't stopped in a while, such as Stepkowski and Vorburn. Because now, they don't have to think about their next stop just as much. They just need to come in for inters whenever the track's ready, and then the other drivers will have to do so as well. They may end up making a pit stop less than them.
Yeah, I've just seen David Yunt has put on the intermediate compound. He's rolling the dice, possibly serving as a guinea pig for his team. We'll see if that's too premature for the conditions at the moment. It may need another lap or two. Certainly the leaders won't respond to that.
You could visually see the raindrops there. That was good stuff. And yes, it is still too early for inters, but how much too early? How quickly is the track going to be dampened? We've heard it's thunderstorm conditions over there, so probably not too long. It's not always 100% accurate in the game, but we'll keep an eye on it. Here is Robin Panzer on the back of Matchy and Winnick. That is for position. So Stepkowski's really come out of nowhere in this race. I do apologise for not noticing him earlier. The same goes for Yannis Vorburn. Those two are doing a genuine, fantastic job right now. And Panzer will have the DRS and an attempt. And look ahead. No, never mind. That's a lapped car getting out of the way. Panzer does pass Matchy and Winnick now. Goes through into 8th position in this race. And was that Fournier and Machete fighting behind them? That's still fighting. Yes, indeed, that's over 10th place. DRS still active right now because the majority of drivers are still on slicks and the track has not got too damp just yet. There's Jan Dragoon in the other Green Stripes car, exiting the pits a lap down. Still on slicks though, not attempting to try out the inters just yet. But yeah, it's not going to be long at all. David Yunt's still the only driver on intermediate tyres.
Yeah,
will let his teammate know when it's ready for inters, providing his tyres don't go off too soon due to having to push them through the dry conditions. Winnick made a mistake there. Fournier is going to be alongside him. Fournier is going to go through in the Scuderia Basilia car, but he'll be on the outside line into the hairpin. And he'll get the DRS. He's behind across the detection zone. So will Ruben Machete here. Earlier in this race, I really thought that Winnick had a shot at winning this, but look at this, he's about to drop to the back of the top 10. Fournier on the outside, goes through. Oh, they touch and off and into the wall. Here's Matchy and Winnick. The championship leader has touched the barriers. He's lost his front wing, reverses across the track. Thankfully, no one was coming when he did so, and he's now going to take the shortcut into the pit lane. Matchy and Winnick has been devastated by that one, and there go his chances of a strong result in this race. Ruben Machete also into the pits, but under much less dramatic circumstances. We ride on board with Winnick. You see the rain droplets on his car, which would have made it even harder to save that slide once he'd been hit. But what you're going to see is the two cars just misjudging each other coming down into that chicane. And I mean, Fournier had the corner there. He had the corner. I think that was Matchy's own mistake there, I'm afraid to say.
Yeah, devastatingly so for Linux. I don't have any problems with the conduct of Fournier whatsoever, but I was just going to say Yunt's times are in the 1:19, 1:18 range. That is 5 seconds slower, or nearly 6 seconds slower than the race leader, so there's no need to change over to intermediates just yet. And for the likes of Jan Dragoon, he pitted on strategy. It was too soon for intermediate, so unfortunately...
And the rain has stopped, according to RaceView.
Yeah.
The rain has stopped, according to RaceView. We are under the... I was about to say the sunshine. It's still looking quite overcast, but it was a brief shower, which has, I wouldn't say forced David to jump. He decided to act as a bit of a sacrificial lamb there, but anyway, no one else jumped, thank goodness. Even Ruben Machete, who came into the pits, came in for slick tyres, which was a real risk, because if the rain had got heavier, he'd have been royally screwed there. Vidok and Brewer also in the pits right now, hopefully also going for slicks. The track will be a little damp, it won't be very fast out there right now. Then again, looking at the lap times, they're not dropping off much at all from what they were earlier in the race. Yannick Bock was still in the... Jeffrey Fournier set the fastest lap of his own race that last time around. 1:12. 12.459. So actually, the track must have been warm enough that the rain just evaporated immediately. It did not get slower at all. Moose and Fournier and Machete now all setting their fastest laps of the race. Machete might be about to set the fastest lap overall on those fresh, soft tyres. Yellow flag's out there somewhere. Lepkowski's in the pits. I think that's unrelated, thank goodness. But Pushkir's out. So Philip Pushkir is out of this race now in the other Stacks car. And David Yunt's sacrificial position has come at no great benefit to anyone, I'm afraid to say. And now he's going to have to stop again for slicks just to run to the end of the race and make it to the flag. But anyway, Ashley, race view now saying the weather has started up again. You can see the mist appearing on the track again. So as soon as it started, it stopped, and as soon as it stopped, it started again.
Yeah,
this race has more surprises.
Look
at this, look at Leon.
Yeah.
Oh, he was getting much closer to the back, but he's realised that he's not going to have a chance there at passing Stefan Roth. Doesn't want to get off the line. Machete's lap was absolutely rocketing through that final sector there. 110.822. That is extremely fast. That's almost as quick as his quali lap.
Yeah, spot on, Caitlin. That is absolutely within his qualifying range. And if he can keep that going, but this rain again is coming in, so it's like Montreal's moved over to us in Western Europe with the constant stop-start. But yeah, I was just going to say, from Linek, he's still got a point to his name after his need to repair the car. But if it had have rained even harder, it would have ruined his race because he couldn't possibly change over to intermediates and still have a quick car. So it's pretty relief that he was able to change over while it was still dry.
And he's gone for inters. Machete has gone for inters, and the track does look wetter than it did before. Now that is both a positive and a negative for Reuven, because on the one hand, he's definitely made a pit stop more than he would have liked to have made. On the other hand, he's coming earlier than some of the other drivers, so he's now going to have to worry less about the rain coming down. Leon has now got alongside Roth, who comes into the pits. So Roth, it looks as if he was sailing straight on as a result of a mistake, but he was actually just coming into the pit lane there. He follows Matthias Moos, and also Thomas Harvey follows him into the pits, and they are attempting to get an undercut on the Evolution cars of Bock and Bock out in front.
Matthias Moos on full wets, Caitlin. That's Matthias Moos on full wets.
Get absolutely drenched out there. Out of the pits he goes. There is Stefan on his green intermediate tyres. The blue tyres are the full wets. The top three drivers are all on slick still. And on the pit exit, that's Tomasz Voch, who both of these drivers have demoted immediately. A little bit of a hold up, but not too bad. Yes, Moose is the top driver on any form of wet tyres, and he's on the full wets right now. And that's going to give us another comparison, because not only do we have drivers out there on slicks as well as drivers out there on wets, we also have drivers on the full wet compared to the inters. Light yellow flag, brief yellow flag, but looks like all the leaders are okay. Hygo Poom retired from this race a while ago, I'm afraid to say, just as he did in Super Light due to a lag spike. And look at them demoting Jeffrey Fournier here. That is Jeffrey Fournier. They're both going to go through on the straight. Oh, Fournier almost crowding Raw into the wall. Those two have history.
And the Bach brothers have pitted at the same time.
Yes.
That could be frustrating for Leon if they're stacked.
Oh,
watch out.
Leon getting held up in the pits by one of the best esports cars.
Mitchy Hoyer.
Now Yannick has come out ahead of Matthias Moos, so Yannick keeps the lead. Moose will be second. Roth goes through. Leon's going to come out way back here, I'm afraid to say. Leon is down into fifth, may lose another position or two still. No, he's got enough of a gap over Wilburn. So Leon stays fifth. It's Yannick, then Moose, Roth, Harvey, and Leon Bock. Then Yannis Wilburn, Robin Panzer, Jeffrey Fournier, Tomasz Voch, Daniel Stepkowski, and the track is definitely too wet for slicks right now. There are no drivers still out there on slick tyres. They are all on the wets or the inters. The gap for the lead is 5 seconds between Bock and Moose, who are taking no chances in this race. And off the road, that looked like Yannis Wilburn to me. who rejoins. Just taking a quick trip across the escape road, but no harm done. And DRS will no longer be active due to how bad this weather actually is. I believe the DRS is only active when at least one driver is out on the track on slicks. I think that's how R-Factor 2 calculates it. But right now, absolutely no one has it whatsoever, and a good thing too. Oh, and a big twitch for Matthias Moose. The circuit is difficult enough in the dry, let alone the wet, and Harvey's in again. So Thomas Harvey coming in. He was on the inters. Has he had an incident out there somewhere? And there's a big gaggle of cars coming up ahead of, and there is Harvey.
I think he just wants to pit for the wets, Caitlin. I'm just trying to look at the leaderboard and see what comparable lap times there are.
And they double stack. Holland Racing Team double stack. And he is on the full wet. So Thomas Harvey obviously feeling that it is too wet for even inters. And that's very interesting. Out of the pits he goes, P7. So Panther up to 5th. But he is also on intermediates. Then Fournier up to 6th. Daniel Stepkowski into the pits for full hards. Ruben Machete still stands a chance of a top 10 finish here. Here's Raw. A little bit over the curb. You probably want to avoid that
as well.
Sorry?
There are blue flags out, but there's a side-by-side going on ahead of Stefan. Maybe that was the lap car. Yeah, that's the lap car. So, should move aside now. Whoa, a little bit of lag spike there. So, blue flag's out here to let Stefan by. Pardon the interruption.
Oh, I think something may have happened to Fidok, because I saw a yellow flag and then Fidok lost a few places. That would be a big shame, but he is now in the pits. And that may have been why, actually, so it may not have been an incident for David. Dan Brewer also in, Giordano Valeriano, Germano Zappala, Eris Masciuli, and a big slide for Stefan Roth, who is the top driver still on intermediate tyres. Seems to be dropping back a little. Oh, and he runs off the road! It may be getting too wet now. Does he rejoin safely? He does, and Panzer comes in from 5th on those inters. The drivers who came in for inters have made a mistake. It looks as if the right strategy was to have stayed out for as long as you could to go onto the full wet tyre. That is what has given Leon Bock the podium position back again. So it's Yannick, Matthias, Leon now. Stefan Roll is dropping and will probably drop further, especially if he stops, which he may decide just not to do if he can afford to stay out. Jeffrey Fournier is P5. Thomas Harvey would benefit. Oh, off the road again. Roll all over the place. Really struggling. More yellow flags up there somewhere. Into the hairpin he goes. This reminds me, I was watching the 1981 Canadian Grand Prix recently. The full thing is available online. And that was a fantastic race, but it was very wet. It looked a lot like this, although probably even worse, actually. And Gilles Villeneuve did the majority of the race without a front wing, which is impressive. Knocked his front wing off and had it kind of hanging limply. Stefan Roll into the pits now. Stefan does come in. So obviously the full hard, the inters was not as good as the full wets. Matchin Winnick and Chris Butcher also into the pits. So that'll put Harvey up into the top 5. And he'll probably come out about 8th or 9th. Someone stopped on the exit of the final corner there. Someone was stationary. Giordano Valeriano is now out of this race. And Harvey passes Fournier. Actually, were they already that way around? Whatever the case, Harvey is ahead of Fournier. No, he has just passed him, hasn't he? So Thomas Harvey up into P4 now. And Machete is in again. That can't be right. Raceview's saying slicks. That can't be right.
No, that's a bit bad.
DNF? Yes, Ruben Machete calls it a day. So Ruben, who failed to finish the Superlights race, has unfortunately failed. Oh! What was that? Something happened in the background. Something's still happening in the background. Fournier. Have a look at Fournier.
Yeah, you're right, Caitlin, yeah.
Yeah, I just saw that happening in the background. Fournier hit someone, I think as a result of a lag spike. He's lost his front wing. Someone else was badly involved, but I didn't see who it was. And Fournier is dropping. Now here we go. So Fournier is going to suddenly get a whack, but was it as a result of a genuine racing accident, or has there been a lag spike? Whichever way, this is going to be unlucky for Fournier. And Wallop, there we go. No fault of Fournier's, no fault of anyone's. Huge lag spike. Was that Stepkovsky? Very difficult to see. May have been a lapped car, but anyway. Fournier is in the pits. Stepkovsky's fine, so it wasn't him. Also in the pits right now are Luke Mitchell, Giordano Valeriano. But yeah, dramatic accident there through no fault of Geoffrey Fournier's, and that's pretty gutting because he was on course for an easy top 5. Stefan Roth is back into the top 5 now.
Yeah, looked for a moment that Edge Esports Day was unravelling, particularly with Linek having that accident, but Ruad has recovered that potential banana skin and he's in the top 5 again, so that'll be some compensation for Edge, but they've got to hang on for these remaining 11 laps.
I can work this out. I'm going to look back at the broadcast, see who dropped at that point. I'm not sure that I can work it out. It was so fleeting, and it appears to be a lapped car anyway. But, yeah, because Fournier was running up with Harvey at that time, but Harvey wasn't affected. That's a bizarre one. Jan Dragoon, I think? Maybe? Whatever the case, 9 laps to go, 10 including this one, until the race finishes. People paying their respects to Geoffrey Fournier in the YouTube chat. And, yes. Chris Shepherd was cheering on Geoffrey Fournier right before that happened. Oh dear. Did someone move forward from behind? Didn't see another car. Yeah, it looked to be the case, didn't it? I think Dragoon... I think it was Dragoon, because he came into the pits again after that one. Another yellow flag out there somewhere. So, once again, it's an Evolution 1-2. Yannick Bock leading from Leon Bock. When did that happen? Matthias Moose was in second. Ah, it was when we were looking at the Fournier accident. They swapped places. So we were distracted. And Leon Bock is now back up into second. Getting away from Moose as well. Maybe just liking these conditions a bit more. So it's Yannick leading, followed by Leon, and then Matthias. Moose, that is. Harvey, Roth, Bock, Walburn, Panzer, Stepkovsky, and Fournier. Okay, only 10 cars left on the lead lap now. Lappery definitely getting involved, both through things that they are doing and things that they're doing involuntarily, such as that big lag spike there. But yeah, only 9 laps to go in this race now, including this one that we're on. We're getting to the late stages, and it's an Evolution 1-2, Owen.
That's right. This is the term of form they needed this season. It'd be a huge boost to their morale, starting the post-summer break phase of races with the 1-2 if they can hang on to it. You can see on camera Janus Volborn is giving Thomas Bach as much hassle as he can, but yeah, again, another point for Thomas Bach here will be a great recovery here. He must have done a good strategy job in this changeover to the full wet conditions. He was probably hanging around 11th place when I was watching him previously, so this is a superb run if he can hang on to it. And certainly no love lost against the Holland Racing team, that's for sure.
Evolution don't necessarily need a morale boost. They've been, they're already leading this team's championship coming into this round. Although this would be their first win of the season. They're only up there due to their incredible consistency so far, 4 podiums. But this would be the first time that they would actually get onto the to the rostrum. Edge Esports have been catching quickly with Winnick getting those 3 wins in a row, and Stefan Roth also picking up consistent points. And of course VBM have scored a couple of wins as well, so they're not completely out of this championship fight. VBM and Edge still very close in terms of the championship, even though VBM has had an awful day so far today. The only other team that's had a win is Scuderia Basilia with Liam Duval, who won the very first race of the season. Liam not here today, unfortunately. This is the 3rd race that he's missed this season, so obviously not launching a full championship campaign. There's Yannis Vorburn. Running P7 on the back of Thomas Roth. Both of these drivers have come of age recently. They've both been driving so good, so well. Yannis came P5 at Azerbaijan. Thomas Roth probably should have won at Monaco, or at least he will feel that way. Definitely should have been on the podium. He was overtaken fair and square by Mitchy, but then unfortunately there was that accident that happened, which cost him a podium position. Down the straight they go. Just a few more laps to go now. Leon is closing the gap on Yannick, but I'm not sure that he would be allowed to pass. I think at this point it would be a Belgium 98 situation. The visibility and the conditions are so poor, you've just got to hold station. Because right now you're on course for a 1-2. And if you battled, you might not bring in either of the cars home at all. Plus, Matthias Moos is only a few seconds back, so you don't want to hold each other up. Matthias dropping back from Leon a little, but all it would take would be a mistake from Leon. Stefan Roth on the back of Thomas Harvey. Stefan will be kicking himself for that mistake of going on to Inters, just as everyone else who did is. And David Feiduck's out of the race. Oh,
Gosh.
I'm honestly really disappointed about that. David has been having a horrendous season by his standards, and we've been talking about it after several of the races recently. He is getting so frustrated with everything, and he will probably be extremely frustrated now as well. So if you're watching this now, David, commiserations. I am thinking of you. But yeah, 17 cars remaining now. And out of those 17 cars, 10 of those still on the lead lap. And Stefan Roth has a much better run than Thomas Harvey up the inside. Oh, and Thomas Harvey cuts the chicane. So through goes Stefan Roth in a fair and square manoeuvre on Thomas Harvey, who decided not to turn in. That's a difficult corner at the best of times, let alone in the wet where there's no dry line. And you've got the reigning champion coming up your inside. Haha, reigning, get it. Here's a replay. Thomas Harvey sees him coming, thinks, nope, you can have that. I'm sorry, I'm not causing an accident today. So off the road goes Thomas Harvey, and through on the inside goes Stefan Roth. It's a good point, actually. I've just had a thought that this is the first race in a while where the front row of the grid hasn't been made up of purely Matchim Winnick and Thomas Harvey, has it? Neither of them were on the front row. Huh. Good to see things changing in qualifying, but yeah, this race has been full of change. Been all over the place. Jan Draguna up 10 positions, look. Simply because he's kept running, and that's all you need to do sometimes in GPVWC. Has the potential to score his first point here today. 5 laps to go now, Eoin.
That's right. Just got to hang on in there for that last stretch. Yeah, disappointment obviously for yeah, so Chris Shepherd was a high qualifier, but he's not in contention anymore, out of the race, and that gave Stefan Roth and Thomas Harvey a bit more impetus. I think the order should stay as it is, really. Oh, another mistake for Harvey. He's got to compose himself, because Tomasz Schwach, I should say, is really going to make gains on him if he can get his own rhythm going. And the Holland team will be demanding Harvey just to make sure he gets to the end. He was right to back out of the move with Stefan Roth. He wouldn't want to cause a collision there. And now he's got the car where he needs it to be, but just has to hang on. No more mistakes from here.
About 4 seconds is the gap between Harvey and Wach, and that's a difficult one to gain, but you can lose it all in one corner. So, 4 laps to go. Yannick leads, followed by Leon, and then Matthias Moos. I said it was going to be a battle between Evolution and Red Archer, and it absolutely has been pretty much all the way through today. Matchim Winnick briefly was in the running for the win, but he started to drop back and then of course had that incident. But it's still, the podium at this rate is still going to be made up of Evolution and Red Archer cars. Evolution are running 1-2. There is Yannick Bock on course for his first win of the season. He was runner-up last season. Only lost the championship on the last lap of the entire season. It was a race for the ages, and he's still definitely a championship contender here this year. Only 24 points separating him and Mathieu Winnick coming into this round. That's less than a race win's worth of points, despite the fact he hasn't got a win yet. A win is really going to boost and kickstart his championship campaign, and also cement him as, once again, the #1 driver at Evolution, which was unclear before because Eoin has been doing a fantastic job so far this year. Top 5s at the last 5 races. The gap between the two of them, 4 seconds. So even though Yannick still is the #1 driver at that team, I'm not sure there are any team orders there, and you can tell they are very evenly matched. The car you see between them there is not a car on the lead lap. I believe that might be Ruben Machete. No, he's out, sorry, so it's not Ruben. Might be Jan Dragoon at this point. Actually, it's Mitchy Hoyer, sorry. I'm not used to Mitchy Hoyer being a lap down, actually. Not used to 11th place being a lap down. Except for in that crazy Super Lights race we had at Azerbaijan. Ooh. Looks to have calmed down a little towards the end of this race. It's almost a good thing, to be honest, because there have been points in this race which have got absolutely crazy. We had a crazy first stint. Oh, big slide there for Mitchy Hoyer. Then we had a much calmer period in the middle. Then we had the rain, and suddenly it all got a bit whack again. And luckily, everyone appears to have slotted into line now. And it's still pretty exciting. It's always exciting to watch cars racing in the rain. Daniel Brewer is also trying to line up Mitchy Hoyer here. But at least we don't have the kind of chaos that you normally attribute with sim racing in the rain. Much more professional than that today, and much cleaner. And yeah, it's been a good little race. Must have been quite a fun one to take part in.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll hear all about it in the post-race interviews. Yeah, every point counts here for Dan Brewer. If he can possibly find a way past the burst car of Hoyer, he'll definitely make the move to pounce. Yeah, at the moment, it's just a case of follow your opponent for now on board. Camera shot now. A little wiggle there. Nothing too abnormal there for Hoyer. Yeah, it's just a matter of getting through the spray as well. You don't want to be blinded by the spray. Another kick from the Bucking Bronco of the burst car. And Dan Brewer just has to see what he can do here as the laps are counting down to the finale. Oh, yeah, you can see the contrast in the racing lines. Yeah, is that a preference or a mistake?
Only one VBM Esports car in this race. Adam Maguire, unfortunately, was not able to make it today for whatever reason. And neither was their reserve driver, Lewis Bickers. But anyway, Dan Brewer running P12, still picking up some points for the team, but nowhere near as many as they would have liked from Dan, who's been on the podium 3 times so far this season, including 1 victory. They're onto the final lap of the race now. Yannick and Eoin separated by 3 seconds. Slide from Dan, good save, good control. This is the main battle on this last lap. These two still in a scrap for points despite being outside of the top 10. Points here go down to 15th place. You also get a point for fastest lap, but only if you finish inside the top 15. And that point today will not go to anyone because Ruben Machete has the fastest lap and he is out. And obviously it's way too wet right now for anyone to be setting the fastest lap. So many times this season actually we've had that situation where there has been no point awarded to the driver with fastest lap. Has it been awarded at all? Yes, it changed last time out. Philip Pushke got the point. but at all the other rounds of the championship, including this one, fastest lap just simply hasn't made a difference. Yannick Buck now just has 2 more corners to go. It hasn't been a dominant day because things have changed so much. But from third on the grid, Yannick has strategied and raced his way to the front. Good stuff from the number 15 Evolution Motorsports car. Yannick Buck is going to win the Canadian Grand Prix with GPVWC Super League, and there he goes. Leon Buck is going to be second. It's going to be a Buck 1-2 and an Evolution Motorsports 1-2 as well. Matthias Moos is going to be P3 in the red Archer car after taking pole position. And let's not lose sight of the fact that that is still a very good drive of Matthias Moos, his second podium this season. 4th place, Stefan Roth. Then it's going to be Thomas Harvey, Tomasz Voch, Janis Vorburn, Robin Panzer, Daniel Stepkowski, and Jeffrey Fournier. And then off the lead lap, you had Mitchy Hoyer, Daniel Brewer, Maciej Winnick, Chris Butcher, and Eros Masciuli. They scored points. Jan Dragoon just missed out on his first points-paying position in GPWC Super League. And then Jumanu Zapala as well finished the race, although he was 2 laps down at the end of all of that. There were a number of DNFs. So, a decent race there, up and down. Parts of the race where nothing much was happening, and then parts of the race where everything was happening. A typical day in GPWC Super League, Eoin.
Yeah, I would have been paying attention if I had been doing my regular Twitter duties. You'd see the things develop on the leaderboard during each stint of the race, but being in the commentary booth today, yeah, it's certainly a different perspective, and I'm very grateful to have been here. Can now check out that race order again. So congratulations to the brothers Bach there, 1-2, to get the Evolution team raring to go in this next portion of the season.
Indeed. Right, there you see the race results once again on your screen. I've already read them out, so I won't do it again, but yes, a fantastic 1-2 finish for the Evolution Motorsports cars. Their team will be absolutely thrilled, and for good reason, of course. There's the rest of the order, and the first few DNFs. Evolution with the Minotaur engine powering them down the straights as they set off to defend their GPWC Super League Teams Championship. And there are the last few DNFs in the race. Right, let's start talking to some of the drivers then, finding out how things were out there. First of all, one of the drivers who unfortunately did not make it to the flag, Ruben Machete. How are you, Ruben?
Well, I am just a bit mad because I didn't know that a high number it's the radio blanking means that it's close. But the team gives me the setup, so I was just thinking that it's okay for the race. So, well, the positives are today my quali pace was pretty decent. My race pace was also quite okay. Would have been good enough for points in the fastest lap. So, yeah, I think always take the positive. So maybe I will get another shot, and then I will try my best again.
Indeed, your pace was very, very good. You did all 4 races, all 4 different categories in GPWC at this circuit. Why do you keep coming back to Montreal in particular?
Well, because I have most time I have nothing to do, so I'm just like, you can go to the race because you emergency driver is needed, so you can race. And I also like Montreal very much. It's a cool track. And yeah.
You race whenever you're needed, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, it's always good to see you on a grid. You're one of the fastest drivers out there, and you were the fastest driver out there today, fastest lap of anyone. But yeah, I take it you had an engine failure. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's a shame. Well, unlucky, Ruben, and we will hopefully see you again in GPWC Super League sometime soon.
Yeah, I hope so.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ruben. So that was Ruben Machete, a driver who I absolutely wholeheartedly believe does deserve in GPVWC Super League and should get more drives in the future after he's won the Formula Sprint 2 championship, of course, which he might well do this year. Let's now bring in Chris Butcher. Chris, are you there?
Hello.
Good stuff. So, from one disappointed driver to another, what happened to you?
Oh, gutted, Caitlin. You know, after the disappointment of lights on Tuesday, after not even managing to complete the formation lap, you know, I thought I put a smashing qualifying in. To be honest with you, P11 on the grid, 3/10 off pole in a car that I've not done many laps in. I was over the moon with that, and I was looking forward to a good race. To be honest with you, because my pace on the hard tires was really strong. But yeah, somebody, I think it might have been Yanis, tagged the back of me on lap 1 just at the end of the first sector, and that spun me in the barrier, and I lost my front wing, unfortunately. So, you know, by the end of the first lap, well, after my pit stop, sorry, to repair the damage, I was 30 seconds off the back of the pack. So, you know, from there, I just sort of put my head down and lapped as quickly as I could, and I was pretty happy to get it back in the points by the end of the race, to be honest with you. But, you know, at one point, I think I had the fastest lap, so yeah, it kind of shows what could have been, really, and I think I could have had a really strong finish if it wasn't for that. But you know, that's racing at the end of the day, and you know, it's just one of those things.
Yes, indeed. This kind of thing does happen, I'm afraid, but it's a shame that it happened to you. But anyway, good to see you in the field. Are you expecting to do any more Super League this year?
Maybe, we'll see. I'm open to it. I mean, obviously, I've got my primary driver commitments for THR in lights, and I won't be stepping away from that. So, you know, it's I'm always open to stepping in if anybody's struggling, and sort of seeing what I can do.
I think Tom Stevens just said yay.
Yeah, I was getting a bit downbeat after all the bad luck in lights, to be honest with you. But obviously, I need to be there for Luke to help him sort of get back up there in the drivers, and you know, try and help us get the team's championship as well. Which, you know, it's far from over. There's a long way to go, and anything can happen.
I agree, very much so. Okay, thank you very much, Chris, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Caitlin.
Okie dokie, so last but very much not least, in fact, third in the interviews and third in the race, Matthias Moose, you're on the podium again. And you're muted.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, it's very nice. Bahrain already on the podium, now again. I don't know, the qualifying was the key. I had outstanding qualifying, a few very good laps, and I pulled out my personal best in the quali, what never happens in, I think, 15 years of sim racing in the quali. So that was, I could not believe it. And yeah, the race was very difficult today.
It was indeed. So first of all, you started on pole position. Then, of course, Leon passed you early on in the race, but it wasn't as straightforward as that, was it? There was so much strategy. There were back markers. Talk us through it if you can.
Yeah, it was not easy. To be honest, before the race, I saw that the Evolution guys have good top speed, like always. And it was, for me, clear that some of these guys will overtook me very early, and I didn't fight to get Leon at the beginning. I start to save some push to pass to the end. And yeah, also before the pit stop, Yannick overtook me. I was a bit sleeping there, I think. And but yeah, this guy was quicker anyway, so it's all right. It's a bit sad for me that I had the second pole for me this year, and I did not win. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm really happy about it. It's okay.
You're getting so close, though. 2 podiums this season already. How about the few races still to go on this calendar? We're about halfway through now. Actually, not quite halfway through. Next race is the halfway point. Which of the races are you most looking forward to, and do you most think that you can win?
Win is very difficult, man. They have many things to play to each other, and for me, I'm always happy when I'm in the top 10. I'm consistent there, and maybe some P5 and the podium is like a win for me, to be honest. Yeah, let's see. The next race I will possibly miss for sure. It's a bit, yeah, it's Silverstone. I don't like it at all, so that's all right. But yeah, I would race it, but I cannot. But then let's see what happens, and then next races afterwards. Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame. Anyway, we'll see you when you're back, I suppose.
Yeah, I missed just Silverstone, I think, and I don't know what's the race after Austria.
Austria, yes.
Yeah, then I'm back for sure, and will give my best to fight against this guys in the front again.
Okay, well, thank you very much for speaking to us, and congrats on your P3 and your pole position.
I thank you. Bye.
Okie dokie, so that was Matthias Muster, third place in the race. That's all we have time for. We haven't, unfortunately, got either of the Evolution drivers to speak to, so we are just going to wrap it up there. But Eoin, quite an unpredictable day of racing there. The order looking quite different to how it started, but overall it was a fight between Evolution and Red Archer, and it was the Evolution guys who came out on top.
That's right, yeah. I'm happy to say my pre-race prediction was accurate, so I'm above my cutoff of a 7 out of 10 at best, so that's not too bad. So I really appreciate everyone's work today. Obviously, I love saying thank you at the end of my Twitter work, but today I'm in the broadcast booth. So Tom, thanks so much for your broadcast work, and Caitlin, yourself, really well done with the commentary. It's really, really impressive stuff.
And thank you for your work every single week, Eoin. Yes, of course, Tom as well, our broadcast director, doing a fantastic job today, finding us all of the juiciest replays and the best camera angles. Thank you all very much, and also to all of you for watching along in the YouTube broadcast. We will be back in 2 weeks' time for Super League. That will be at Silverstone, of course. Although before that, we have all of the junior categories. Keep your eyes open on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. if you're in the UK. Convert that to your own times if you're not. Until then, goodbye.